at 6:36 p.m. And the previous meeting's minutes, did you have anything?
Nope, they look good to me.
Looks good to me too. I will move to accept them as submitted.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I accept it as submitted unanimously. I will move into the director's report.
Alright, so I am happy to report that we were awarded a $15,000 grant from the Association for Rural and Small Libraries for the
Yay.
purpose of repairing our front entrance.
That's great.
Yes, which will go along with the funding we got at town meeting. So
That's
it should be
awesome.
good. The long range plan was submitted to and accepted by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. I've posted it on our website. So I will start working on the annual plan for FY26 to start making specific progress towards the long range goals.
Perfect.
So one of them that I know off the top of my head is I would like to begin updating, creating policies. We don't really have a lot of official policies right now. We have a few on our website, but we don't have a lot of common ones, and like our internet policy is pretty outdated. This came to my attention because a lot of towns are facing overrides this year, and that usually means that the library is in danger of losing some of their funding, which puts libraries in danger of losing their certification status. And then if they do that, it affects how other libraries share with them, but we don't have an official policy on how we share or don't share with decertified municipalities.
And then municipality can just become decertified based on the budget choices of the town.
Correct. Yeah, if they don't meet their minimum
If it goes over-
appropriation requirement,
It's like a
or if
percentage.
they have to cut hours, or if they can't, or if they don't get enough money to spend on circulating materials. So a lot of towns were asking, like, please let us know, like, will you share with our residents if we're decertified? Because it becomes a, not bargaining, like an advocacy tool. To
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
if we don't get funding, then you
Right.
don't get free library services anywhere in the state. So anyways.
And then they would go through Comcat for statewide. Like if you chose to lend, because doesn't Comcat system go through anybody?
Comcat's for like network to network.
Oh, network to network.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So like CW Mars to.
But you
Plan
still have to be a
library.
member of some network.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, that is
all
complicated.
interwoven and complicated.
Mhm.
But anyway, so that was one of the first things I had in mind. So you know, if you come up with any other policies that you think of that we should have, let me know. We'll start working on them. But otherwise, we had a few positive outcomes from our annual town meeting. We were approved to repurpose the funding from the previous year's special article, which means we can start spending money on new furniture and other improvements for the interior of the building. We started looking at shelving options, and I think we will be set to buy them in a week or two, and then wait for them to arrive. We were also approved for our capital requests, which would be the front door, the walkway, the retaining wall, and the Walnut Street parking area. And our budget was approved, which includes funding for one additional 10-hour per week library assistant. So July 1st, start of the new fiscal year, we'll start working with the town administrator's office and the highway department to get all of that going as quick as we can.
That's great.
For programming, like I mentioned this last time, but we were invited by the Bolton Library to attend the Showbrook Pride in Bolton on May 18th from 1 to 4. There's 10 libraries that have said that they are going to be there, so it should be a well-staffed booth. We have a lot of, there'll be a button making machine, stickers, we're bringing supplies to make hand kites, which are like rings with ribbons attached to them that you wave around.
That's good.
So there'll be lots of crafts. It'll be a fun day. It's not supposed to rain, so that will be good. Otherwise, we had our Star Wars story time, which we had 14 attendees that made lightsabers and learned how to have lightsaber duels. They had a lot of fun. This
great.
art show was well received. A lot of people stopped by to see the pieces, and they all commented on how nice it looked in the room and how like it freshened up the space. So we're going to try to bring some new pieces in from the schools every couple of months because the teacher said that they always have art.
That's
So
great.
Yeah.
they'll send them
That's
over for a
great.
little bit. The Friends of the Library have planned a book sale for June 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Because we have been doing a lot of reading of the collection in advance of getting the new shelves. So we have a lot of books to get off of our hands and out of the building. And we are also having an online book club for teens on May 22nd, where teens can talk about their favorite books, and they'll have a craft activity to do. There's an author, Varla Ventura. She's coming from Minnesota to visit a couple of libraries in the area. So she'll be stopping here on, I didn't put the date, on June 3rd to talk about different foods and popular folktales. That is going to be at 19 Carter. And we are having our next puzzle race on June 21st.
Alright.
And then some of our staff had attended some meetings. So Karen, the technical services / cataloging librarian, attended the CW Mars annual circulation and resource sharing meeting, which she hasn't been to in a while, especially like the in-person ones. So she said it was nice to see people again, and they shared a lot of good information. And Sam, our library assistant, attended a reader's advisory workshop hosted by MLS. So that's like how to help people when they come in and they say, I want a book to read, and they don't have anything specific in mind, helping them find a book that they might enjoy. Which was, she said it was really nice because she's on the desk a lot, so she has asked that question a lot. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't read science fiction and somebody's looking for a science fiction book, it's hard to
When you start,
jump off
Right,
and figure
right.
out what to get them. So she enjoyed that.
That's great.
And I want to give an update, a not so fun update, on the federal and state fundings. There have been a lot of things going on recently and a lot of updates in the news. So I want to kind of compile it as much as I could into one semi-brief, not really brief, update. So, on March 14th, Donald Trump signed an executive order to effectively dismantle the Institute for Museum and Library Services. The IMLS, with 0.003% of the federal budget, provides funding to state library organizations, which use those funds to support statewide programs that benefit all residents. The Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners receives our state's funds and uses the money to purchase statewide databases, support the Commonwealth Catalog, increase collections available on Libby, and offer local grants for library services and programs. There have been at least 2 lawsuits in response to this executive order, one from the American Library Association and one from various state attorneys general. I think there was 21 states in all, including Massachusetts. It was based in Rhode Island. These have resulted in temporary halts to the dismantling. It's still uncertain what federal funds will be available in FY26 and beyond, and what the end result of those lawsuits will actually be. Some small amounts of funding have been sent to states, but with most of the IMLS staff on leave and a new set of requirements that demands that the funds be spent on programs in line with other executive orders, the IMLS is at this point an unreliable source of funding for the MBLC. At the state level, the governor, House, and Senate all proposed level funding for libraries, which would normally be fine, but this means that the MBLC will not be able to make up the deficit caused by a lack of federal funding, and they would have to reduce services. Without an increase in funding, the MBLC could not cover the cost of their office space lease and many of their salaries. CW Mars received some funding from the MBLC to support the Small Libraries in Network grant, which provides us a discount on our network fees each year. CW Mars has stated that they have enough funds to cover FY26, but then FY27 remains uncertain. We received a $2,500, that's supposed to say, reduction on our FY26 assessment thanks to the grant. So we spent about $3,500 a year on our CW Mars network fees. Without the Small Libraries and Network grant, it would be $6,000 a year. These changes will make next year's budget requests at the local level even more impactful in order to maintain services. State and federal cuts to services such as Medicare and Medicaid and mental health support will also impact residents and their reliance on free resources from libraries. So I encourage everybody to contact state and federal legislators and push them to support the services that are important to you. The American Library Association website, ala.org/showup, has a number of resources for showing support for libraries, which can easily be adapted for the state level. So I think the most recent update today that I saw, or recently, is that the state budget, I want to say May 20th, they're voting on it. So until then, contact all of your state legislators and tell them you'd like to see increases to the MBLC budget lines. There are a couple of amendments planned to update some of those lines.
Well, thank you for compiling all that. That's really great to have it all in one place.
And I probably missed something. There are a lot of updates.
There's always something, yeah.
All the time. It's so many budgets. But we'll just have to keep seeing what happens. I mean, luckily, state aid is a state budget item, so that funding won't directly be impacted by IMLS losing funding, but then if the state has to make up their funding from other ways and has to cut other line items, who knows what will trickle down. And if the MBLC doesn't have the staff to run and manage all those programs, because they do a lot. Yeah, so they're trying their best to maintain what they can, but things are bleak, to put it mildly. So we'll just keep on keeping on. It's pretty upsetting because now that we have our annual or our long range plan done, we were going to actually be eligible for those funds, local grants this year, which would have helped us start some new program initiatives. But like I said, we'll just keep seeing what happens. But otherwise, we've got our monthly stats at the end there for you. So everything went up again, or most things went up. If you remember last month, I said it was our best month since 2019, I think, and April was even higher than March. So
April 2025 is the best month since 2019.
Yes. So hopefully we have a good summer. Everything's looking promising.
Where did you say you saw the results of the election?
I found it on the Clinton Item website. I went down and finally decided to get a Clinton Item subscription.
It won't let me look at it. You have to have a subscription. Do we know? On it only gives on the ballot it gives their name and address, but not the email address, right?
I have
but you know this.
My friend Beth, it's her friend, so I can just get her email from her. And reach out.
I was just gonna say if you can get me an email. I just want to send an email.
I assume the town clerk's office.
So you can send a congratulations email.
I don't know if they would give it to me. You know what I mean? But
but I'm happy to.
You could just say the chair wants to send a welcome email.
Or
you can also give her my email address and she can email me.
That should be fine.
But
we're excited to welcome Adrienne.
If you can do that sooner rather than later, so that I can get it to her in enough time so that she knows when the next meeting is.
Yeah, I can do that
The
tonight.
steps she needs to take before the meeting as well.
Because she's got to be sworn in.
Yeah,
at the
she's
town.
gonna, yeah. Alright. Sorry. I mean, if I didn't say that, I would forget.
Yeah, that's great.
I was like, I think we're at the end of the report.
Yes. Yeah.
But before I was like doing the vote on the report, I'm like, if I don't say this right now.
Yep.
Totally get it.
So, will you just add the date and location for the Varla Ventura to the report?
Yes.
And the word reduction in there, you can change that and then send her a new copy to be posted. So I will move to accept the director's report with correction.
I second.
All in favor?
I.
Aye. So accepted with the corrections unanimously. Alright. And the financial report.
I just printed out the big one, and then I didn't print out any of the other.
That's okay. I can look
Yeah.
at the warrants on here anyway.
It was gonna be 35 pages
Yeah.
to print out, and I was like, I don't think if I make
No.
this very small, it won't help anybody.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Having this is great to be able to like.
To make know like where you are.
So you
on
can
that
look
thing.
at it like as you're talking. Like on the screen, it only shows part of it. So this is like
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And the only note I have is that today, when I checked the mailbox at town offices, there was the balance sheet from the accountant's office. So I compared all of our numbers and found a couple of misentered numbers on my spreadsheet. So I don't remember the exact number, but I think we have about $700 more total in our budget left than is reported on here.
Okay.
I have the actual numbers at the next meeting.
Okay, neat.
Sounds good.
I think it was about 500 in wages and 200 in expenses. We should have some money left over in our wages by the end of the year, so I'm gonna do kind of calculations for that and do a line item transfer for some of it so that we can spend some of it on wages, hopefully. I mean, on expenses.
Okay. Does the newspaper circulate?
Like physically?
So it's not like in. Some people occasionally come in and read it.
Yeah.
It's been on my mind of if we want to get rid of it, especially in the wake of how I have to switch up the expenses next
Yeah.
year. So
It's
is
not
nice.
a huge amount.
Yeah.
Because is this the one that I'm looking? Do you pay it once a year, or is that monthly?
It's monthly, so
So we're paying
periodic.
$111 a year for Telegram and that? A month, I
a
mean?
month. Yes, it
Okay.
varies because sometimes they're like, there's a special edition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever really know what the special edition is. I don't know if it's like an
Sorry.
election edition or
Yeah.
what.
Prorated by.
But, so like
issue.
some months it's been $65 and then some months it's been like 111.
Okay.
So I think I think we just started doing monthly because I swear I'll have to
Yeah.
go back and look.
I don't
but I think
remember
last
it-
year I did it just twice. I did it at 6 months
That's
at
what
a
I
time.
think I remembered it as. That's
Um,
why I was like, oh, it's really
'Cause
not
I
as
got
much
very
as I
confused
thought.
about it too once. I was
But
like,
yeah.
what's happening?
I mean,
So
if
yeah,
it's
I don't know if we're gonna keep it next year. And then we have Newsbank, so it's online.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if there's an online option, if somebody comes in looking for it, we can always help them
Yeah.
log on
Yeah,
and
Newsbank
see
is
it.
pretty.
And you
I
could
like
print
up-to-date.
articles. We have the option to print. So if there's some like somebody comes in because they want to see, oh, their grandkids.
It also like the mail, the newspaper person. I don't know if it's a newspaper boy, whoever comes around and delivers the
delivery
newspaper.
person. Yes.
Sometimes it's just like in the street.
Yep.
If we're
I've
not,
seen
we're
that.
not here
It's
on
hills all this
Sundays
time.
and it's raining. It's just wet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gets through the plastic.
I've
so-
actually pulled over and put it on the steps because it's been in the street a couple times.
There is a neighborhood dog that comes and walks by the library, and the dog and picks it up and brings it onto the steps for us.
Are you kidding
so
me?
we will
For
be putting the
real?
dog out of a job, but
No.
You can get some dog treats.
yeah,
That's incredible.
we'll get a fake newspaper that we can put out there for him.
Yeah.
The college I worked at, our library stopped, like finally last year stopped carrying the T&G in print. And they tried to ask them, like, do you have an online subscription for library specifically, like to the website? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we just use Newsbank, database like anybody, but I'm sure
It's
anyone
nice
can
to
show.
support local journalism. Sometimes it's really hard to support local journalism.
Let's
Yeah.
give you money, yeah. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
owned by a large conglomerate of, yeah.
Yeah, no, we don't have too many people coming in to read it anymore, so I think it'll go
Yeah,
by
I just
the
didn't know if that
wayside.
would, impact like where we talked about cuts and stuff to try to meet them in the middle with our budget numbers.
No, so the only thing, it doesn't matter if we cut the newspaper, we'll still have to spend the same amount, but it
Uh-huh.
will mean I can spend that $100 a month on something else.
Something else
A
that's
couple
got more
extra
demand.
Okay.
books or a couple extra ebooks or, wherever else we see fit.
Sounds good. Alright. Did you have any questions, comments, concerns about the budget?
So there's gonna be another 200-ish in supplies and another 500 in wages, you said?
Yes, yeah,
Okay, cool.
somewhere around there.
Sweet. Did Ingram and them get squared away for getting your stuff? There's just a lot
Sort
of
of.
jam.
They're coming on
Yeah.
regular deliveries now. We're getting at least a box a week usually.
Mhm.
We used to get them a day or two before they were published, so we could like put them on the shelf on their published date. And now sometimes we're still waiting a week or two past their published dates to get them.
So the holds are already, yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't create any records to put holds on before you
Yeah.
have them, or do you create
Yeah,
the record
because
first?
some libraries in the network will make a record when they purchase it, so that people
Mhm.
know it's coming.
Get on the
People
list,
can
yeah.
place holds on it that way. So yeah.
And then if you're in this, it's like you are a Berlin resident, you get a shot of getting a hold sooner than.
Yeah,
The
if
larger
you're
libraries swoops
on
it
the
up.
holds list, and then we get the book. Once we check the book into the system for the first time, it will go to a Berlin resident who has
Cool.
it on hold to pick up in Berlin.
Yay. Keeps it reciprocal.
So you said that there's a change you're gonna make after seeing June's report, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
can
trying to figure
send
out
you
how
an updated one, or they'll be there for the next.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna figure out how to accept the report.
Right, do we
Accept it as
accept
corrected
it?
instead of accepted as submitted.
Yeah, accept it with corrections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I move to accept the financial report with corrections.
I second.
All in favor?
I.
Aye. Accepted with corrections unanimously. And then, guess we'll call it old business. Going over the proposed new schedule.
So, spent a lot of time. I made a lot of
saw,
schedules.
I know.
I made so many schedules. I was going a little crazy. And I checked in with the staff about their thoughts when they were available to work, what they've seen in the past and what has worked with them in the past. So I know we talked about a 25-hour-a-week schedule, and I have made one. But then I kept getting stuck on Wednesdays because we are so slow on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And so I was scheduling 3 people to work on Wednesdays and taking away all that time for the other days, and was making it really hard to balance being open when people are visiting and adding later hours and earlier hours and all of the things that we wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So then I thought, what if we don't include Wednesdays except for a little bit? So
So you still have the kids programming on Wednesdays 10 to 2.
yeah, so my plan would be to just open on Wednesdays in the mornings, which is when most people are visiting, Like today we had, I think, like 12 people before 2 o'clock.
Wow,
And then barely anybody
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of the day. So we'd be open 10 to 2 with just Hadley and myself here, which I think would be plenty to
Yeah.
get things that need to be done, and kind of be a nice little short day for Hadley and I to catch up on things if it's super slow. And then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and each be a little bit longer and have more people staffed. And that's where we'll focus, like programming, events, people taking time to go to meetings, whatever. And if they need to take one of those days off, then they could work on Wednesdays. So it ended up being 28 hours per week, but like I said, if we're not really including Wednesdays, then most of the staff are really working over the 21 hours per week.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my proposal, to Mondays and Tuesdays from 10 to 6, Wednesdays from 10 to 2, Thursdays from 2 to 7, and Saturdays from 10 to 1. I thought about doing until 8 o'clock. I think it's better to start at 7, and then if we do see a large amount of people showing up, then we could look at adding an extra hour. But like Hadley talked about, the library she used to work at that's open until 8 o'clock, and she said 7 to 8 was never really busy.
Yeah.
So I think it's easier to add an hour later than to start with being open to 8 and then decide to take an hour away later.
Yeah, like have a 7 till 7 p.m. means like a lot more people can come and right after work on their commute they have a chance to get here. But people only really just come to pick things up on those evenings anyway. So
yeah. So I think seeing how that goes is a good start. And then I know we talked about maybe changing Saturdays. I think so. 19 Carter is open 10 to 1 on Saturdays. And most libraries open at like 9 or 10 on Saturdays. And I also think if we did like 12 to 3 or something like that, and we're asking people to kind of take off their whole Saturdays just to come in to work for 3 hours.
it kind of just smack in the middle of your Saturday.
Yeah. So I think, and also again, it's the issue of maybe we've solved the weekday problems, but I still don't really know what's going to happen on Saturdays. How many people will be able to staff? So I think that's another place that we could look at later if we get more hours for some of the positions, that maybe we just expand Saturdays and do like a 5-hour Saturday, 10 to 3. There are some libraries that have like just a Saturday position, which is like a 5-hour week. They're always here on Saturdays, so I think that's something we can look at. But I think for now, with all the other changes, maybe we just leave Saturdays as is.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then I did include, we could still do the original option I sent of 10 to 3 for Mondays and Wednesdays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays 2 to 8.
Yeah, I do think 8's probably just too late.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always, if you had a special teen program or something, you could, and Hadley was willing to work, for the program.
Yeah.
You can always expand.
That's the
ad hoc.
only hard part, is if somebody's commuting, if they work 9 to 5, and they're not getting back to town, even if you just say they work in the city, they're not coming back till 6:30. So you're still only really giving them an extra half hour.
Yeah.
So it's hard if they want to bring their teens to a program.
Yeah.
Like that's the number one reason I go to Bolton. It's because they're open till 8.
Oh, that's good to know.
With my kids, with my teens.
Yeah,
That's
right.
when Hadley has a teen program happening in the middle of the day. They're in school.
What?
I mean, there's homeschool. I get that, and I'm okay. It was in the newsletter. I don't know if she flip-flopped times or something, but it was ages 4 to 12 or something, and I'm like, you're gonna have only 4-year-olds show up because everyone else is in school.
I think that was the obstacle course. Yeah, we realized that.
The obstacle course. That's what it was. I was like,
yeah, we realized that.
You can't have older kids.
It also was really for younger kids overall.
Yeah, but I mean, there's homeschool kids, which is great, but the teens, it's hard for them to come down. Even us at the store, we're open till 6, so I can't drive my kids down here until
do you
after
think we should
6.
try to have one 8 p.m. day?
I mean, 7, I think we can try it and see, but that's like, because like I said, for us, we're open till 6, so by the time I close the store and get my kids in the car, it's almost 7. And that's why we go to Bolton, because they're open till 8. And that's
do
the
also
one day
have
we do
these
that.
had the couple of teens who are doing the teen advisory board,
Mhm.
and they want to meet at 4 on Mondays because they all do other programs.
Yeah.
Like other things throughout the week.
Right.
So like they can't meet later, so like they have to be here
Mhm.
earlier. So
Yeah.
it's always
I think
like
the teen
one group that
advisory
we're never
board,
gonna.
so the teen advisory board, like I saw it with like Sarah, is it's going to fluctuate with what
Yeah.
teens are involved, because you're going to get teens that are involved in sports and they can't come till
Right.
7.
Yeah.
You know, like at one time it was thriving. Sarah had like 12 teens coming and she would get a couple pizzas and they all came and they had
Mhm.
pizza and they did a lot. They got a lot
Yeah.
done. It was a good board.
Yeah.
But you know, you'll have the groups that need to come at 4:00, but you just have to worry about other kids not
Yeah.
being able to come if their parents are working. If
Yeah.
they're latchkey kids, they can't get themselves here.
I know how that goes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Especially in Berlin. I can't believe some of the kids, like 5th graders, are going home alone. Like my mother would have never let me.
I did. Oh, I
Like,
totally
that's-
did that.
that's-
Absolutely.
That's 10 years
yeah.
old.
But
But like
my mom
in,
was nice, you know.
in Berlin, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
neighborhoods are nice, but yeah.
Yeah.
It happens younger and younger now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So do we want to try till 7 and
Yeah.
see how it goes, and if there's no change in if there's I'm not sure what the threshold would be for noticing like a trend of
I think it's going to take
successful.
time for
People
people
have to get the word
realize
out.
that
'Cause of
those
the-
are our hours, and we have to have programming happening. We have to get people to know that
Yeah.
they are coming
Yes.
in. Like just
Yeah.
putting it up in the newsletter, people will see it and go, okay, whatever. But if you say, oh, it's
Yeah.
you know
Mhm.
6:30, we have this event,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Because the last time the hours changed was like, I don't know when. These little cards that got printed are
I was
real.
talking to Karen about it, and I don't remember when it was, but she said like, we used to be open at 10, and for some reason they pushed it back to 11, because people like just weren't coming till 11 anyways.
Yeah.
And I go, that's
Little card.
not a good reason, because it's nice to have, you know, that extra hour before people start showing up.
Yeah,
Because
to
maybe
actually
people
get
aren't
settled.
showing up for the first hour because they don't want to show up right when places open.
right.
That's what I do. I look at when places are open. I'm like, all right, I'll get there half
You
an
can
hour
tell you're
later.
opening. Yeah, totally.
Um,
Because right now,
Yeah.
for the purposes of the broadcast, our hours are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 6:30, and then Saturday, 11 to 1.
10 to
Closed. Sorry, that's what I was supposed to say. Yeah, 10 to 1, and then closed Friday and Sunday.
1. Yeah. We could do maybe like 7:30 on Thursdays, which I mean it's not a huge difference, but
Yeah.
if you wanted
It's
to
just
do
gonna
that and
see
be
what
open to
people-
that, just
For
yeah, I mean, I wish we could do like 10 to 7 on all of the days.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe next year.
But
Yeah,
even with a
no,
new
like-
person, you have to have a lot of overlap with the
Yeah.
staffing.
And the 2 to 7, I think, is good because, you know, most people are at work. And you have some morning hours, some later hours.
Yeah.
I think it's a good balance.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thought I had is we could make Wednesdays even just 10 to 1, like Saturdays,
Mm-hmm.
and add that hour somewhere else, opening an hour earlier on Thursday, or like I said, we could do 7:30 on Thursdays. I think 8 is just,
Or if you just,
8 is a big jump
Well,
without any
yeah.
Yeah.
evidence that people are going to show
Yeah,
up.
no. Even if you did put the extra hour on Monday or Tuesday too.
And have 2 days until.
Have 2 days until 7. That's,
Yeah.
Because we're already currently open at 11, yeah? So if we're
Yes.
opening at 10 on Monday and Tuesday, on like Wednesday, you could do 11 to 2 and then put that extra hour on the end of either Monday or Tuesday, whichever day you think is busier.
Yeah, which day is busier?
I might just keep Wednesday 10 to 1 though, just because.
Oh, 10 to 1. 10 to 1 with Saturday. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah. 10. Yeah, 10 to 1. That's what I'm saying.
I know that the making these lists and posters and having to answer the question over and over again. This the simplest it can be is like the best, but it's going to be confusing for them anyway.
It's gonna be a little wonky.
Yeah.
Or your pen.
It kind of works. You can have a pencil if you need.
It's okay. No, you can keep it. Oh, that's fine. So if we did 10 to 6 on Mondays. Trying to decide if I'd rather have Mondays or Tuesdays 10 to 7. Or Thursdays 1 to 7.
Monday.
Is Monday the day that other places are closed?
Well, yeah, maybe Monday because so many other libraries are closed on Mondays.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's an angle.
So it bookends the weeks. Our
Yeah.
late days bookend the week.
Monday, Thursday.
So that would be Mondays 10 to 7, Tuesdays 10 to 6, Wednesdays 10 to 1, Thursdays 2 to 7, and Saturdays 10 to 1. Which is a little wonky, but
Let's see how it goes. Like,
And then you'll get
we're
feedback.
Not locked into anything. Like we could, you know what? We could call it a summer trial.
Yeah.
And we could trial it over the summer and say, you know, the hours are subject to change in September. If the summer, I mean, it's hard to judge with the summer because so many people go away.
I know. Well, it's going to take like a full calendar year and a half until we have a trend of anything.
Yeah, we could simply say this is our trial.
Yeah.
You know, based on our survey responses and townspeople feedback, we're gonna try this schedule and see how it goes. And then you could say if you have any recommendations or kind criticisms to let us know.
No, we've already heard a lot, especially from the parents. They've been telling us they come for story time, but we'll be opening a little earlier.
Yeah.
Gotten some. Ooh.
Yay.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's good.
11 is tough because it's like nap time.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
And I absolutely do want better evening hours. But we've experienced it with the programming, that people are very optimistic about saying what they'll do and what they'll come to.
We all aspire to do, yeah.
People are very aspirational, so we'll ease them into it and see how that goes.
Yep.
I think even that half hour from 6:30 to 7.
Yeah.
Is gonna be...
I know. My cows got out for the Irish night. That the War Irish thing that was happening. I was so excited about. And she's cows.
Where do they end up?
Just in the yard, but they were outside of their fence.
Oh, little buddies. Big buddies.
But, all right.
So, if that sounds like a good schedule.
I like the one you wrote out.
Yeah.
So, I'll just say it again. Mondays, 10 to 7. Tuesdays, 10 to 6. Wednesdays, 10 to 1. Thursdays, 2 to 7. And Saturdays, 10 to 1.
Sounds good. Oh.
And then, let's see. I'm looking at the calendar. We talked about beginning of July as a start date.
Yeah.
July 1st is a Tuesday. And that seems crazy to me. So I would say either June 30th or July 7th.
Yeah, you can start June 30th, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
And then
changing the schedule in the middle of the week is crazy. We'll avoid that.
No, I would put up signs now and say effective June 30th.
Yep.
These are our hours for a trial run based on survey responses, so people don't be like, how did you come about this?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. From your feedback, yeah.
Based on survey feedback.
Yeah, I think this will match pretty well with when people are visiting and what we've seen.
And we'll have other staff here, so it doesn't really affect our meeting, right? Well, because we start at 6 anyways, and then we close at 6. Never mind. Just kidding. Because we've been meeting on Tuesdays.
Right, because that'll be it.
Right?
Early.
Are we meeting on Tuesdays? Or no, we meet on Mondays. We used to meet on Tuesdays. I knew I was...
We switched around a couple times.
We can meet all the days
we want. I mean,
Yeah.
if everyone wants to keep doing Wednesdays, then
I'm happy with whatever day.
I'll come open the building and we can meet in here. It's fine.
Yeah, no, for like, if we're meeting on Mondays, if we're open till 7, we were starting at 6:30, we could either start at 7 or we can start earlier if you have it adequately staffed, because there'll be 2 other people here, plus you, yeah?
Yeah, I think the schedule will allow for at least one person that's not me and another person that's not me on each floor at all times.
Mhm.
And most of the times, especially like the early mornings when families will probably show up, and the later evenings when everybody else will show up,
Yeah,
we'll have 3 people in the
Okay.
building.
sounds good.
And then just to recap, Saturday you're probably gonna keep 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, if we have like just 2 people in the building from like 1 to 3, I'm not
Mhm.
that concerned about it because it's usually pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good. Do we vote on this proposed schedule?
I think so.
I think so too. I didn't want to overstep if we didn't. I vote to accept the proposed trial schedule of Mondays 10 to 7, Tuesdays 10 to 6, Wednesday 10 to 1, Thursday 2 to 7, Saturday 10 to 1, effective June 30th.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Proposed schedule accepted. Yay. So our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 9th. Does that work for people?
Let's see. Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay. That will be in my email too.
Yeah, maybe we just want to check if we can get in touch with Adrian
Yeah.
soon and just make sure that time works for her.
Yeah. I'll send her an email and let her know like the steps she needs to take beforehand and that that's our next meeting, and then at that meeting we can discuss if any changes need to be made. And then it would be, I don't know if the next fiscal year, it starts in July. I don't think those are in the computer, so we can discuss that at the next meeting when she's here too.
Sure.
And figure things out. In the past,
take July off, right?
yeah, in the past we've taken July off, but I'm wondering if it makes more sense to skip August. That way she's not
Yeah.
here for one meeting and then not. Like, I'd rather,
Yeah, that would make sense
You
to
know.
me.
Mm-hmm.
so. Alright, so we will potentially plan that. We can discuss that when she's here.
Yeah.
Anything else? There's no trustee concerns on my end. Do you have any concerns?
Should we ask Beth if she wants to attend the overlap meeting, or does it
Yeah, I'll
matter?
text her and
Yeah.
let her know. If she wants to come, she can.
I think she's officially relieved of her duties.
Yeah,
She
so
is.
she doesn't need to. Yeah,
Upon, yeah.
that's
Do you
fine.
have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Then I will move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned at 7:19.